J-Roll Electronic Productions, baby.
Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. We are going to go over some headlines. I have a limited time today because I have a session at 8:15. So we'll get in as much news as we can until then. All right, let's see. Start with the Gateway Pundit. Thugs in Washington, D.C. suspend Rudy Giuliani law license, just like the leftist thugs in New York State. So, can't say I didn't see that happening. It's political persecution. Whether you like Giuliani or not, you have to admit that this is political prosecution. It's all that is. I mean, he didn't do anything that warrants losing his law license or getting his law license suspended. I don't believe. It's political prosecution. Let's see. John Kerry flouts mask mandate at Logan Airport. Biden vows to raise taxes on fossil fuel companies as gas prices spike. I think this is by design. They're trying to end gas vehicles, basically. That's what this is all about. Because Biden knows that if he raised the taxes on the companies are gonna offset that by raising the price of oil. Simple economics. But he got the eco-terrorists coming after him, so his way of appeasing them with this fake global warming stuff is by making it too expensive to drive, or make it so people have to get electric vehicles. That's what this is all about. Well, let's see. Joe Biden on Wednesday traveled to Illinois to promote his gargantuan infrastructure bill. Biden was greeted by Trump supporters when he arrived in Crystal Lake. 78-year-old Joe Biden delivered a speech at McHenry County College where he railed against the wealthy, dude, you're wealthy, and fossil fuel companies, and said they need to pay their fair share in taxes. Wow. Less than a year ago, the United States was energy independent and gas prices were at historic lows. In the 6 months since Joe Biden was sworn in as president, gas prices have risen by a staggering 40%. And if you've been listening to us for a while, then y'all know I said this was going to happen. I said gas prices were going to spike. I said it was going to be on purpose because they want to get rid of all fossil fuels. And the way of doing that is by getting people off of oil. And that's why he shut down the Keystone Pipeline that we talked about before. And that's why he got rid of restrictions for Russia to build pipelines. He has no problem with Russia building pipelines, but have a problem with us building pipelines. Right before Biden attacked gas companies, he told the audience he was the poorest senator in Congress in 36 years. He's a lie. So how the hell did Biden, aka the big guy, make enough money to be able to afford a multi-million dollar beach homes? So let's watch this video real quick.
Which is enough to pay for the child care tax credit. If we end tax breaks for fossil fuels and make polluters pay to clean up the messes they've made, that would raise $90 billion. I'm not asking them to do anything that is unfair. Just not going to subsidize them anymore. They're doing well, thank you. And the messes they made, they should clean up. Well, if we ask the top 1%, and I hope many of you are in the top 1%, maybe. You know, that tax cut that was passed in 2017 was all raised the deficit by over $2 trillion, not a penny paid for, and it didn't come back with that.
That's not true.
That in fact, that entire $2 trillion, the vast majority went to the top 0.1% of the American people.
That's not true.
1%, You know, if we just, 1%.
The middle class benefited from that tax
If they
cut.
just paid the personal income tax the same as it was under President George W. Bush, that would generate $13 billion a year. It would raise the tax from what it is now, 35 to 39%. It's what, I mean, it's not like there's this idea, where you listen to the guy who used to have this job, and somehow we're gouging people. The fact of the matter is, a lot of you, if you're a plumber and a teacher, you're probably paying at 25, 26%. Some of you be paying higher. But here, look, it's enough to provide for that one change, enough to provide for 2 years free community college for every student in America. Now,
what he's not telling you is by doing that, it's going to raise taxes. So people, regular people that can't afford gas prices where it is now, is going to end up having to pay double that. He don't tell you that. So it's really not a tax on fossil fuels. It's a tax on normal Americans. Disgrace. Let's see. NSA unmasked Tucker Carlson while he was seeking interview with Vladimir Putin. But the mainstream media is saying that Tucker Carlson made the whole thing up. So what are they talking about? This is why you don't need to be listening to the mainstream media. Breaking. Thugs in... Oh, we went over that one. John Kerry. No trespassing. Lawmaker says vaccine harassers can be charged. Dog on right. This morning, Arizona State Senator Kelly Townsend informed us on how to protect ourselves against vaccine Nazis. She shared this tweet telling us what we can do before the feds come asking us. Oh, excuse me a second. Sorry. The feds asking us for our papers. Senator Kelly said, I have spoken to local law enforcement, and if you don't want the federal government on your property asking about vaccines, they advise you to post a no trespassing sign in a visible location. This is a prerequisite to be able to charge someone for being there against your will. True. I never even thought of that. These people will need to enter at their own risk if you take this step. Arizona GOP Chairwoman Dr. Kelly Ward then suggested personalizing your sign to specifically prohibit vaccine harassment and trespassing. She said that who thinks we will see a surge in no trespassing signs, and should they be individualized to specifically prohibit people from harassing you about vaccines? And why doesn't HIPAA and I made the same statement. It's against government law, HIPAA law, or 4A already prevent this government harassment. Isn't our health info private? And that's what I said yesterday. It's totally against HIPAA violation. All of this, for anyone to ask you if you've been vaccinated or not, is against the law, especially if it's the government. Especially if it's the government. It's totally against HIPAA law. And I don't understand why no reporter asked Biden or his mouthpiece, Jen Psaki, why they're going against federal law. I believe HIPAA law was signed into law in 2008, I believe, by a Democratic president, Obama. So why are they going against federal law? All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Developing State Rep Robert Sutherland announces public hearing on election integrity issues in Washington State. How old are you? 14. Biden asked little girl if she's a teenager. during tour of Child Development Center in Illinois. You can't make this stuff up. Creepy Biden. I don't know why the people will allow him around their children. All right, let's see. Just the news. TSA screened more than 10.1 million travelers over 4th of July weekend, intercepting 70 firearms. Ship that blocked the Suez Canal for days, released from Egyptian authorities amid compensation deal. Air Force Academy professor says critical race theory should be taught at military academies. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. My beloved Air Force. Y'all don't know I'm an Air Force veteran. Can't believe they're trying to push this stuff in the Air Force. A U.S. Air Force Academy professor says she teaches that nation's future military leaders critical race theory, and believes the country other military schools should do so to help students identify structural racism and equality. This is despicable. Lynn Chandler Garcia, an associate professor of political science at the Colorado Springs Academy, made the argument. Getting a phone call. Argument in an opinion story published Tuesday in the Washington Post titled "Why the U.S. Military Academy Should Teach Critical Race Theory." Proponents of the theory say it examines the uncomfortable but necessary truth, race, and racism in America. Critics argue the theory is racist and injects anti-American view into institutions, particularly schools. And that's the argument I've been making since its inception. Basically, teaching you either one or two. You're either an oppressor or you oppress. It's teaching black people basically they can't accomplish nothing. They come from slaves and they're oppressed, so they might as well don't do anything, just give up. And teaching and telling white folks because of your skin color, because you're white, you are automatically an oppressor, which is ridiculous. Garcia says learning the theory helps with military intelligence. Quote, as a professor of political science at the U.S. Air Force Academy, I teach critical race theories to our nation's future military leaders because it is vital that cadets understand the history of the racism has shaped both foreign and domestic policy. I mean, teaching racism is one thing, but this critical race theory is not teaching racism. It's teaching people that they are less than, basically. It's teaching telling black people that they're less than and they come from slaves and all this other stuff. It's not teaching real history. Quote, it helps students identify the structural racism and inequality that has been endemic in American society, and it provides methods for deconstructing oppressive beliefs, policies, and practices to find solutions that will lead to justice. She also argues racism was ingrained in the system from the beginning and the military struggles with the issue. Quote, officers must comprehend the unique experiences and concerns of their diverse troops, Garcia also says. A holistic education leads to understanding and unity as service members consider what it's like to walk in another's shoe. I mean, this thing is permeating in every aspect of life now. They are really teaching the CRT, teaching black people that they are oppressed. This is crazy. This is nonsense. Let's see. We're still on Just the News. Rep. Jordan releases agenda to take on big tech, hold it accountable for censorship. I'm not going to hold my breath. Pennsylvania GOP State Senator Mastorino announces investigation in 2020 election results. Let's see what this is about. Pennsylvania GOP State Senator Mastorino announces investigation into 2020 election results. Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano, I think is how it's pronounced, announced Wednesday that he will lead an investigation into the state election system, saying it will go a long way to restore trust. In his capacity as chairman of the State Senate Intergovernmental Operations Committee, Mastriano sent letters to Pennsylvania counties requesting information needed for his investigation. Quote, a forensic investigation of our election results and process for the 2020 general election and the 2021 primary will go a long way to restore trust in our system. Mastriano, a Republican, said in a press release, voting is the fundamental right of all citizens. We should continually look for ways to improve the voting process to ensure every voice is heard. Pennsylvania follows Arizona in efforts to examine the results of last year's election results amid concerns about voting irregularities and fraud, and to try to ensure systems are secure and future balloting. Well, my thing is, they try to make it like there was absolutely no fraud whatsoever in the election, where it's been proven in several counties across the United States that there were fraud. It was fraud happening. That's when you know something is up, when they try to cover up blatant fraud, and try to pretend like there has never been any fraud when we got people in jail right now for committing election fraud. So to pretend that it doesn't exist, it makes people want to investigate even further. But much of the concern about fraud centers on mail-in ballots. In 2020, there were 2.7 million mail-in ballots cast, compared to 263,000 in 2016. Mastriano also said that the state Supreme Court changed its guidance and rulings on mail-in ballots just days before the 2020 election. I remember that. I didn't think they could do that. I thought they had to have a certain time frame for them to change rules. Which perhaps left the system more vulnerable to fraud or other voter misconduct. And I think that was by design. However, Mastriano makes clear the intent of the probe is not to try to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The goals are to restore faith and integrity of the system, confirm the effectiveness of existing legislation on the governance of elections, and identify areas of legislative reform, he said. We'll see how that goes. I don't really think anything's going to come of it. When you got corrupt people running the show, they can just cover stuff like this up. Let's see. Let's go ahead and see what Jordan has to say about what he gonna do to big tech. Like I said, I don't. This is another thing I'm not very optimistic about. Well, I like Jordan. I like Jim Jordan on some things, but I just don't. I don't foresee them actually doing anything with the censorship, because it's too many politicians that's in the pocket of these large social media companies. But Republican Rep. Jim Jordan announced Wednesday an agenda by House Judiciary Committee Republicans to take on big tech to create more transparency, strengthen antitrust enforcement, and hold companies accountable for supposed censorship against conservatives. It's not supposed censorship. It is definitely censorship. And it's not just censorship on conservatives. I've seen far leftists, some far leftists that don't tote the party line. They get censored also. But the majority of them overwhelmingly is conservatives. And it's not supposed censorship. It's the truth. I've been censored many times. But, quote, big tech is out to get conservatives, Jordan, a ranking member of the committee, wrote in a statement Wednesday. This document expands on the Republican framework and presents specific proposals that will speed up and strengthen antitrust enforcement, hold big tech accountable for its censorship, and increase transparency around big tech's decisions. One of the actions against big tech is to increase the speed at which Congress can apply antitrust scrutiny to companies. The plan would speed up antitrust trials by making direct appeals to the Supreme Court. House Judiciary Republicans will also empower state attorneys general, which would allow them to use the same fast-track procedures available to the federal government to litigate antitrust cases in an optimal time frame. Quote, Our plan subject big tech to legal accountability for its censorship, Jordan wrote in a statement. Platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are functionally the public square. That's true of the digital age. It is wrong that these platforms control and censor speech with impunity. Jordan said big tech must also be subjected to further transparency by having companies list their content moderation policies on a publicly available website. Jordan did not specify when the committee would enact any of these steps in the proposal. So, like I said, I don't see any of this happening. It's just a proposal. I don't know when this committee is going to try to pass it or anything like that. I remember when, what's the congressman name? Senator name? Ted Cruz, when he went and questioned Zuckerberg and all of them, and I mean, nothing happened from it though. Nothing happens from it. They come up with this stuff, and nothing happens. 1 second. Okay. All right. Let's see what's going on with Zero Hedge. Utah Black Lives Matter says anyone flying American flag is racist. Vow donations to AOC. So now the American flag is racist. I mean, I should be a fortune teller with this stuff that's happening right now, because a lot of this stuff I said was going to happen years ago. Years ago, the Soviet-era long con of destroying America through division and self-hatred, as described in 1985 by former KGB agent Yuri Bezmenov, continues to bear yet another fruit. Let's review. And I suggest y'all, if y'all haven't heard of this guy or read any of this stuff, or heard, there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube talking about this. This was their plan back in the 80s. This was so they were going to destroy us from within. But it says Marxism, Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism and American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. And that's what Bezmenov said in 1985. And we're seeing it now. And that's why they're pushing critical race theory so hard. Instead of classism, like the Marxists was pushing, they're doing more of identity politics. Who do you identify as? Racism, race baiting, and all this other stuff. This is all part of their plan. Okay, it says fast forward 36 years as the left seized with anti-American hatred. We now have the Marxist Black Lives Matter. You know, they got the Marxist fists and all of that stuff. They want to destroy. They deleted it now. They since deleted it because people was talking about it. I was like one of the first people to talk about how they were saying they want to destroy the family, the nuclear family, and all this other stuff. They basically hate men. That's why it was started by It was started by lesbians that hate men, and that's what this whole Black Lives Matter was founded on, Marxism. She even admitted it that she studied Marxism, and that's what this whole thing was about. But let's see, Black Lives Matter Utah chapter declaring that anyone displaying the American flag, a symbol of hatred, is automatically racist and must be avoided. One day after the 4th of July. So if I display my flag, what does that make me? In response to the post, Black Lives Matter UT added, "Welcome racists. We know you are big mad about the racist flag post." Wow. You will not be heard here. You will be blocked and your comments will be deleted. We will be donating $1 to AOC election campaign for every racist that we block. Thank you for contributing to the re-election of AOC. We will jot down your names and attribute each donation to you. Comment below to help her once again head to Washington. This is despicable. This is despicable. When you forget that during the Civil War we had black people fighting for the Union under the American flag. So were the black ex-slaves that were fighting for the Union under the American flag, were they racist too? I mean, this is what ignorance gets you. This is what happened when you don't know your history and you got ignorant people running groups called so-called Black Lives Matter. They don't care about black lives. And it goes on to say, let's not forget the New York Times published an article 2 days earlier proclaiming that flying the American flag from the back of a pickup or over a lawn likely means you are a conservative and thus a racist. I mean, this is some of the most ignorant stuff. We live in America. We live in America. So now, if you're a patriot, you're racist now. Let's see. Das Capital, dude. Polling shows sharp rise in support for socialism among the young. That is because that's what they're teaching in our schools. While Fed malls taper and China prepares to cut rates as economy stalls, Boy Scouts pays out nearly $1 billion for 60,000 sex abuse victims, and almost no arrests were made. That's crazy, man. The company behind the now defunct Keystone XL pipeline is suing the government for $15 billion. That's good, because they were gonna make the pipeline, and out of nowhere, with a stroke of a pen, our president got rid of it. Let's see. While the White House press secretary Jen Psaki hilariously tells the media that Joe Biden administration is constantly monitoring and watching the price of oil as if they can and will do anything about it, the company behind the abandoned Keystone XL pipeline is suing the U.S. government more than $15 million in damages, and they're going to win that. In the press release out last Friday, TC Energy announced it had filed a notice of intent to initiate a legacy North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, claim under the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement to recover economic damages resulting from the revocation of the XL pipeline project presidential permit. TC Energy will be seeking to recover more than $15 billion in damages, and it has suffered as a result of the U.S. government breach of its NAFTA obligations. I mean, it's under the free trade agreement, so there's no judge that won't give them the money because they had it was an agreement. TC announced last month it would be scraping the project after Joe Biden revoked the permit necessary on his first day in office. I know, we talked about that. All he does is roll back every single policy that Trump had put in that was actually benefiting our country. We had the lowest gas, some of the lowest gas in years, and with a stroke of a pen, Joe Biden come in and get rid of all of that. The permit had been approved by President Trump in the first months of his presidency. The Hill reports, and had authorized the construction of a 1,200-mile pipeline that would have carried oil from Canada to the U.S. Leaving the Keystone pipeline permit in place would not be consistent with the administration's economic and climate imperatives, President Biden had said in the project. But what they don't tell you is, instead of having a pipeline that's clean, bringing the oil over in, they're gonna have to transport it through. Trucks, which put out carbon emissions, or they're gonna have to transport it through trains, with put out more carbon emissions than a pipeline does. So if you're really about the environment, you would want to have the pipeline. But this is what ignorance gets you, though. As a result, TC was forced to lay off 1,000 workers. Keystone XL president Richard Pryor said at the time, quote, "I believe this will send a concerning signal to infrastructure developers that resonates far beyond our project and will stifle innovation for a practical transition towards suitable energy." And as Saki, um, and as for Saki, here's some advice for the administration that is apparently unaware of how supply and demand works, yet is still seeking lower oil prices. Zero Hedge said Biden wants affordable, reliable gasoline for Americans. Saki, well, there are a few pipelines that could help. What? Zero Hedge said U.S. wants to make sure price of gasoline stays low. Saki says price controls also work great in Venezuela. U.S. constantly monitoring gasoline prices. Maybe start by looking at the price of crude oil since Biden was elected. Again, proven correct again. I said the price of gas was gonna go up, and they proved me right again. Biden might go down as one of the worst presidents in history, and that's saying a lot, considering what Obama did. Let's see. He's definitely one of the worst for the economy. Let's see. Currency wars. The world is on the verge of an epochal monetary revolution. China just banned its tallest skyscraper after reports of unexpected wobbling. Let's see. Eviction is just another word for extinction. All right. Let's see. The Daily Caller. Here's what we know about the Delta Plus strain. Let's see. So is this a new one? The Delta Plus? This is new to me. I haven't heard anything about a Delta Plus. But let's see. A new COVID-19 strain is spreading across the globe, and it's a mutation on the highly contagious Delta variant that has been sending some countries back into lockdown. So this is a different one. It's the Delta Plus. What? I mean, how do they come up with these names? 4 cases of a new Delta Plus strain, which was first discovered in England, has been identified in Israel, according to the Jerusalem Post. It remains unclear whether or not the new variant is more infectious, more lethal, or better at evading vaccines than the Delta variant. I mean, the Delta Plus strain was first reported by Public Health of England on June 11th, but it thought to have been in circulation there since at least April 26th. Cases have been reported far and wide, from the UK and Israel to the US and India. According to Professor Cyril Cohen, several hundred cases have been reported globally so far. The mutation differentiating the Delta strain from Delta Plus is found in the various spike protein. The mutation called the K147N has been identified in other variants as well, and is believed to potentially contribute to immune escape. University College London Genetics Institute Director Francis Bala told CNN. India's COVID-19 genome sequencing labs are concerned the strain could be more transmissible and suppress antibody response, although the effect it could have on vaccine efficacy is still undetermined. While some experts have warned that the Delta variant poses substantial risk to the U.S., others argue that despite being more transmissible, it is not a major threat since it's still effectively combated by vaccines and natural immunity. The greater concern lies in countries where the vaccines are not yet widely available, and a highly transmissible strain like Delta or Delta Plus could wreak havoc. More fear mongering. More fear mongering. Let's see. 12-foot python on the loose after escaping from shopping mall. Reporter calls out State Department spokesman for claim Biden admin had not tossed out Trump-era international agreements. Okay, that's exactly what he's been doing, is rolling back policy internationally and domestically. All right, let's see. Associated Press reporter Matt Lee called out State Department spokesman Ned Price in a heated exchange during a briefing Tuesday. Lee presented several challenges to Price's claim that President Joe Biden's administration had never pulled out of international agreements enacted under the Trump administration. Well, that's exactly what the Keystone Pipeline was. It was a NAFTA agreement that you pulled out of. So that statement is not true. Let's see. He asked Price to answer whether the administration would draw from agreements regarding the Geneva Protocol with the Northern Triangle countries as well as Mexico were contradictions to Price's claim, according to Real Clear Politics. Quote, how about the Geneva Protocol on the anti-abortion stuff, Lee pressed. How about the agreement with the Northern Triangle, with Mexico and the Northern Triangle? The Trump administration had signed an agreement with 34 other countries known as the Geneva Consensus that agreed to promote pro-life and pro-family policies, according to the Associated Press. The Biden administration, however, pulled out of the agreement in January, the AP reported. The Biden administration also pulled out of an agreement in February with the Northern Triangle countries, which was meant to reduce the number of asylum seekers as previously reported. Those are international agreements that you guys jettisoned, Lee said in a briefing. Price seemed unsure of how to respond when Lee continued, saying, quote, I mean, you just challenged me to come up with the international agreement that the previous administration signed that you guys have walked away from. And I just gave you, I think 3. That is awesome. Let's see. Let's play the video.
Well, on your second question, Matt, I think you're actually confusing different things here. These are apples and oranges. Yes, we changed quite a few U.S. policies across a number of fronts.
That's
but
not
I
what
think
you
you would
said
be
at
hard
first.
pressed to find an international agreement that the United States signed on to during the last administration that this administration has jettisoned, done away with. This is the point that we have made in any number of different...
How about the Geneva Protocol on the anti-abortion stuff?
This was the point that we have made on any number of steps about the importance of the durability of American foreign policy across administrations.
How about the agreements with the Northern with Mexico and the Northern Triangle? Those are international agreements that you guys jettisoned.
These are, Matt. No, I think.
I mean, you just challenged me to come up with an international agreement the previous administration signed that you guys have walked away from, and I just gave you, I think, 3.
Awesome. About time they start challenging. Omari Kareem said, ha 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 ha. It's pretty funny. Quote, the previous administration had its own policies. This administration has different policies across a number of fronts. Price conceded before addressing a previous portion of the discussion with Lee regarding the Taliban, rather than responding to Lee's charge. Let's check it out. Oops. It won't let me, I'm not going to Twitter. It won't let me play it from here. No. Oh, well. This is not the first heated exchange between the two. Lee had an equally combative exchange with Price after the Biden administration chose not to specifically sanction Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman following a report regarding the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. I mean, if they don't speak truth to power, I don't know who will. I'm glad somebody finally stood up to the lies that the Biden administration is coming up with. Let's see. Report schools to maintain condom birth control availability for fifth graders Fifth graders? Fifth graders? What is going on? 77-year-old woman mauled by dogs while sitting on the front step. Ship catches fire, causing a massive explosion that shakes Dubai. Let's see, The Hill. Tucker Carlson was pursuing Putin interview around time of spying claims. So does that make it right? Does that make it right? It's sounding like they're trying to make excuses for the NSA. Juliana law license in D.C. suspended. We went over that. Adams' victory in NYC reignites Democratic debate on crime and policing. Trump says no reason for officer to shoot rioter, pushing conspiracy theory. Biden to issue executive order to curtail non-compliance clauses. Flights to Bahamas canceled after students refused to wear masks. Biden has range of options to respond to Russia's cyber attack. But he said he's not going to do anything. He said that already. You think Russia is worried about Biden? Russia is not worried about Biden. I'm going to skip over the Daily Caller for now because we're limited on time. Daily Wire. American Airlines said flight was destroyed overnight because passengers refused to wear masks. Exhausted, every option. Crews switching to recovery effort as condo collapse, death toll grows. Trump announces lawsuit against multiple tech companies for illegal, shameful censorship. He should have done that a long time ago. He should have done something actually when he was president. It's too little, too late now. Let's see. Bella Hadid says she never felt powerful in past lingerie shows. I don't even know what that means. What do you mean felt powerful? Let's see. Biden pushes to end tax breaks for fossil fuel companies. We talked about that. Walsh, we have cameras to monitor police officers. Now we need cameras to monitor teachers. Teachers union would love that. Japan likely to declare a state of emergency before Tokyo Olympics as COVID cases rise. So what are they going to do with the Olympics, I wonder? They going to have the Olympics in the bubble too? Like the NBA did? Let's see. The Epic Times. Santa Ana approves $14 million in rental assistance. 4th of July fireworks cause wildfire mayhem. Crews give up hope of finding survivors at collapsed site. Shift from rescue to recovery. That's sad. Filmmaker Robert Downey Sr. dies at 85. Orange County cities move to end local emergencies. NTD Evening News full broadcast. All right, let's see. Breitbart. James Woods rips Biden. Lightfoot, as long as Democrats continue to defund the police, America's streets will run with blood. And that is true. Quentin Tarantino, I would far rather people watch movies for free on YouTube than give any dime to Amazon or Apple. That's cool. Biden nominee touted husband message to let certain houses burn from wildfires. That's crazy. MSNBC legal analyst McCabe said Trump's big tech lawsuit is dead on arrival. It's a PR stunt. I mean, I don't think it's a PR stunt, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't agree with MSNBC too much, but I do agree with this legal analyst saying that it's dead on arrival. You can't sue these companies like that unless they get rid of their protections, because they have protections right now. Let's see. John Kerry spotted ignoring mask mandate at airport. Oh, that's what they meant by that. I didn't know that article earlier. I didn't know they were saying he wasn't wearing a mask. Of course, because he's a hypocrite. I should have known. Former U.S. Secretary of State and current climate czar John Kerry was spotted once again ignoring federal airport mask mandate as he strolled maskless through the Boston Logan International Airport on Monday, according to photos obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. So how come it's okay for these people to walk around? If you're in government, you can walk around with no mask, but you got to have a D next to your name, though. You can walk around with no mask, and it's fine. These people are hypocrites. In the set of photos, Kerry is seen walking through the Transportation Security Administration (TSA) body scanner prior to boarding the flight. The Free Beacon noted that the source who provided the photos said they were taken at 11:41 a.m. on Monday at Logan Airport. This is not the first time Kerry has ignored the mask mandates while using air travel this year. In March, the 77-year-old Kerry faced scrutiny from conservative media after he was pictured with his mask hanging from one of his ears on an American airline flight from Boston to Washington, D.C. at the time of the first occurrence. American Airlines announced an investigation into the matter, with the results of their findings being unclear. Kerry acknowledged the March photo in a tweet, saying that it was only momentary that his mask was removed from his face. I mean, these people come up with these stupid rules and expect us to follow them, but we don't have to. It's freaking ridiculous. But, all right, that's all the time I got today because I got to get ready for this session. So if you'd like to donate, you can go to PayPal and donate to DEMOCREPUBLIX, or you can go to Cash App, and it's JPSY. That's JPSY. I'm sorry. JPSYCH. Or you can go to DEMOCREPUBLIX.com for the latest in news and click that donate button. Please like, share, subscribe, share this out, and let me know what you think. Until next time.
J-Roll Electronic Productions, baby.